NBC intelligence and national security reporter Ken Delanian, New York Times Washington correspondent Michael Schmidt, and Ron Klain, a former chief counsel to the Senate Judiciary Committee, as well as chief of staff to Vice Presidents Gore and Biden. Ken Delanian, first to you, let's clarify what this grand jury is and what it is not, because it's becoming very clear that there's been a lot of confusion in some of the reporting, but it's basically an ongoing grand jury, which Robert Mueller would normally be going to for his subpoena power.
That's right, Andrea. There has been confusion because there were initial reports that Robert Mueller had impaneled his own special grand jury. NBC News is reporting today that that does not appear to be the case. It appears that Robert Mueller is using a sitting grand jury in Washington, D.C., as he has been using a sitting grand jury in Alexandria, Virginia. But nonetheless, it's a significant development in the investigation because it moves it closer to the White House. It shows that he feels he needs to use a grand jury that's closer to his offices, for one thing, and maybe examining conduct that happened in the district, which could include conduct in the White House. And so it's a meaningful development. And as you know, Andrea, grand juries can be used to compel witness testimony, because while you can decline to sit for an interview with the FBI, you have to appear before a grand jury if called. You can take the Fifth Amendment, but you have to appear. Andrea.
And continuing here at the table with Michael Schmidt and Ron Klain as well, and Ken, you chime in. Let's talk about leaks. What are leaks? What are not leaks? Some of the leaks that, for instance, Scaramucci was complaining about were politically embarrassing leaks. But what really is of concern, clearly, to the Attorney General and to Dan Coats are classified information that is leaked. I was very curious about the way they seem to be throwing the intelligence community, which is a familiar target of candidate Trump and President-elect Trump and now President Trump, under the bus. But the fact is, it's not at all clear that any of this has come from the Intelligence Committee per se. In fact, there have been denials.
No, it plays into the whole deep state. The deep state is the one that is undermining Trump. But what you have to remember is that this is something Trump has been obsessed with as far back as February. On that day that Comey says he asked him to end the Flynn investigation, the other half of their discussion in the Oval Office is about leaks. Trump says that we should put reporters in jail. We should go to these extreme things to do. And Comey says, look, these are really, really hard investigations to do. So this is something that's been on Trump's mind as early as the first weeks of his presidency.
Ron Klain, as a lawyer, and you're the only one at this table who's not just playing one on TV, you are a lawyer, and with her former general counsel on the Hill. This is a significant warning shot for the news media as well.
Yeah, look, Andrew, I feel like getting my leisure suit out because we're going back to the 70s in almost every single way. We've got a president of the White House with a grand jury investigation going on, and now a Nixonian-like obsession with leaks. And we have to remember the only really significantly damaging piece of intelligence that's been released in the 6 months of the Trump presidency was when Donald Trump himself gave the Russians Israeli intelligence about the fight against terrorism in the Middle East. Most of what's come out in the Trump months have been embarrassing disclosures, politically harmful disclosures, but not the leaks of classified intelligence.
Well, let me just challenge that point in one respect, because I think the transcripts were very damaging because they have a chilling effect on foreign leaders talking to our president, any president. To have a transcript, and those are routinely classified. Those are transcripts made by the Situation Room. They're made by career people down there. There's a very limited circulation, as you know, from having worked in the White House. Yeah. This would go to key cabinet members, to the National Security Advisor, the Deputy National Security Advisor, Chief of Staff normally, but not to a wider group unless there are specific conversations that deal with either trade, sanctions, proliferation, or other things that would have to involve the Secretary of State. At times, I'm told that an ambassador in the field would be notified that such a call was being made, but the transcripts would not be circulated.
Well, we don't know how widely these transcripts were circulated in the chaotic process that is the Trump White House, the Trump administration.
Fair enough.
But I would also say, look, when a president has a call with a foreign leader, he doesn't know how many people are on the phone on the other end, what foreign intelligence agents on the other end. So any president who thinks that's a secret conversation with the president of Mexico, president of Australia, is fooling themselves. It's obviously a breakdown in process, of course, that these things came out. But But I don't think any president believes when they have a one-on-one conversation with a foreign leader that there's no risk that that's going to come out from the other side of the conversation, from the Mexicans, from the Australians. And in this case, look, these transcripts are hugely embarrassing. It's much more about the political embarrassment of the president contradicting his own administration, saying wacky things, than any kind of revelation of state secrets.
And to that point, exactly, Ken Delaney, and according to the author of the Washington Post story, they went to the White House, and the White House did not push back, did not ask them not to publish, and did not have any problem, apparently at least, after they checked with the White House, according to the Washington Post.
That's right, Andrea. But as you pointed out, even Trump's most ardent critics, some of them, have condemned this particular leak because they do say, it has the potential to chill private conversations, and it's hard to defend. But there have been a number of other leaks of classified information that have revealed important information about the Russia investigation. And for example, we know that the White House didn't act after Sally Yates went to them raising concerns about Mike Flynn until a leak to the Washington Post about intercepted conversations between Flynn and Kislyak and evidence that he wasn't telling the truth. So classified leaks have played an important role in bringing to light, really crucial public information. The other thing I'd say is it's really significant that we learned today that the Justice Department has tripled the number of leak investigations, criminal investigations, since the Obama administration. Because recall, Obama was heavily criticized for, quote, for going after leakers. I'm not convinced that it was an Obama policy. It just so happened that a lot of cases landed at that time, and they prosecuted a number of people for leaking, an unprecedented number of people. Well, now it looks like the Trump Justice Department is on track to prosecute 3 times as many if these cases come to fruition, Andrea.
And Michael Schmidt,